Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Jessica's Music Talk Pod. This week, I will receive a very, very good musician from Luxembourg. I'm a big fan of what he does. I had the chance already to work with him, also to be on the same stage with him for a Latagobea concert. But we will talk about his career, but before I receive my guest, I just want to thank you, all the people who support the podcast, to follow the podcast. Don't forget that the best way to help the podcast and the artists that are interviewed is to put a like on the video, to subscribe to the channel, and to share the videos and the interviews, and also to follow the artists' profiles, because I put all the links of the artists I interview in the description of the video. And now I am very glad to receive today Benoit Martini. How are you, Benoit?
Hello. Hi, Jessica. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm really fine. Thank you very much. It's sunny today, so yes,
Yeah, good, good,
it's
good. Yeah,
cool.
here in Luxembourg too. Very sunny day. It's nice to see
Yeah.
you again after all these years.
Yes, it's nice to see you again too. And you are a great drummer, and you have also your own project. It's called Benoit Martini Band. People know it as BMB. And I am so happy to introduce your project to the people and make people know your project, because it's very, very professional. You have your own music style. It's not only jazz, it's not only uh, experimental. It's a bit of a mix of your tastes, I think, and
Indeed, yeah.
all the styles you like and I saw you play already other kinds of music. I saw you play blues. I saw you play rock. I saw you play jazz. So you are a very eclectic musician. You know, and
Mm.
to play every style, and you also like to play a little bit of every style. You don't stop just in one style, and that's what makes also the mixture of your own music project and your own band, and that makes it so special and so different from all
Mm.
the other music projects, because you really like to mix things together and do magic with it. And but for all the people, I know you are very famous in Luxembourg. People know you, and also abroad, because you play also very often. You were in Germany, you were in France already too. You play very often abroad. But for all the people who don't know you yet, just to learn about a little bit about your musical history, how did your relationship with the music start?
All right. So we go back many, many years. So I'm born and raised in Rameldang, a small village in Luxembourg that I'm living in again. And my father was a pianist for a while, professional, classic, and my mother also played piano and she was singing. And they were mostly in classical music, and so that's I guess you could say I'm coming from a musical family, and I had an older sister and a cousin also that were into music and into the rock and pop music at the time, talking about the 80s, I guess. And so I would follow a bit their taste and get all the classical influence. And I guess I was first a big fan of David Hasselhoff, if you remember, Knight
Really?
Rider. So that was my first, I think the first cassette tape I really wanted to buy, but was by David Hasselhoff. So I didn't have such, even though I had many good influences, I didn't have such a refined taste myself yet. And then at age 13, 12, 13, I discovered like rock music through some friends, also friends of my sister. And most important group there that I discovered, I guess, was Led Zeppelin with their
Oh
drummer
yeah.
John Bonham. And so that really, when I heard those drums, I was like, oh wow, that's what I want to do. That's the music I want to play, and that's the kind of drums I want to play. I was always drawn to percussion and drums already as a kid, but without really having a specific musical taste somehow. But I always liked the drums, and my mom's choir, she would sing in the in around Christmas in the Belle Étoile. They would sing Christmas
Oh,
songs with a band, guitar, bass, drums. When I was like 5, 6 years old, and so that I think that drummer that was really like I guess the first time I really saw drums up close, and yeah, I got hooked on it. And then in my teenage years, I developed more like a musical taste, mostly in rock music, and then later on, I also got when I was about 17, 18. I got into jazz as well because I always thought like, well, jazz is like it's also very drum oriented, rhythmic music, and I was always fascinated about just the technical aspect and just like, oh, you got to be a really good musician to play jazz. And the other aspect that I really liked, that I always was drawn to, was improvisation. So those rock bands from the 60s, like Led Zeppelin or The Doors or Jimi Hendrix, they would improvise a lot as well. And I learned later that was coming from the jazz influence they had, because they lived at the same time as John Coltrane and Miles Davis, and so jazz had this whole aspect of improvisation, which for me equals like freedom, like you can play what you want. While in classical music was more like, I mean, there I guess you look for the freedom more in how you interpret a piece, but it's you got to play the notes that are written by the great composers. And in jazz and rock, you kind of, you can find you're more challenged to find your own voice and to find your own freedom and your own way of doing things. So I was very much interested in that, and so that's, I guess, the main musical directions I got into. I mean, rock is so vast, you can't compare. Not you have within rock you go from blues rock to metal, and everything in between,
progressive rock.
pop rock and progressive rock, and there's so much. And in jazz music, the same. Jazz music, you have so many different styles,
Yeah.
and so already within those genres, you have so many different styles to
Fusion.
learn,
Yeah.
yeah, and so many different influences. And then later on, I learned, of course, about that jazz, how it's linked to rock and how it's linked to Africa and African music and all of that kind of stuff. And then how African music is again linked to the South American music. So that's why you're getting into all those different styles of music, because they are all related somehow, and they have to do with drums and with rhythm. And I mean, the rhythm in rock and metal comes from jazz and blues, which comes from African rhythms from West Africa, which mutated into reggae on Jamaica and into samba in Brazil. So that was later on when I started studying music. I got really fascinated by that. So that's a bit how I started and the different influences I had. But of course, always on the drum set. That's like my instrument. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're right. If for a drummer, you guys, when you study music history, in music history, it's written that everything started with the rhythm. Before anything else, there
Yeah,
was the rhythm first.
yeah, indeed. I mean, rhythm is so basic. When we talk, there's rhythm in how we talk. So it has to
Yes.
do with communication. People communicated by making rhythmical sounds, and then that became a sentence. And uh, yeah, rhythmical phrases, and also like in African music, that is still very present. That a certain rhythmical phrase means a certain thing, and so it has to do with communication, indeed. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And also, like if you have good rhythm, but your intonation is maybe not so good, or you don't play the correct note, but your rhythm is really groovy and really good. It matters much less. It still sounds much better than if you play perfect notes but with bad rhythm and bad groove. So yeah, that's something to consider for sure.
Yeah, and that this is very very interesting. That I like when I have guests who also talk a little bit about the musical culture and the history of music, and so this is
Yeah,
so interesting, so important, because people who are listening to the interviews but are not musicians, these make them understand a little bit more the music and what we like and what we do, and I find this so interesting. So you started as a kid, because your family was in the music, you were
yeah,
influenced by your family, you started in music schools, and so, and
right,
then
right.
when you started to play music, so when did you really start to write your own stuff, to create your own music? How did it start? What inspired you? Uh, how did it all start for you?
Yeah. Um, but yeah, as a drummer, you're not so much involved into songwriting and things like that. So even though as a teenager I would have liked to do it, I didn't really know how. I couldn't play guitar, I couldn't play piano, and indeed I was in always in a music school, but focusing on drums. And then I went to study to the conservatory in Rotterdam, where you also had to learn a second instrument. So I got a bit into piano, and I went from there. Really, I always wanted to start an own band, because as a jazz musician, all those jazz musicians, they all started their own project at some point or another. So that's why in jazz music, most bands are called somebody quintet, like Miles Davis quintet, Charles Mingus sextet, or Charlie
Yeah.
Parker quartet. So I was like, I want to make a band once, but I didn't really know yet on in which style necessarily. And but it became clearer that I kind of wanted the improvisation and the wildness, the craziness of like jazz music, combined with like riffs and heaviness of rock music, and maybe also the popular appeal of rock music, that it's a bit more in a way easier listenable even for people that are not into jazz. And yeah, so just be melody based and have nice rock riffs, and have long guitar solos and long saxophone solos and stuff like that. Yeah, a bit like a bit like Led Zeppelin in jazz, but instrumental music. And before I wrote any song, I was playing with different groups during that time in Rotterdam, and one was like a rock fusion trio with a really good guitarist from Holland, and a Portuguese bass player actually, Bernardo Fesch, very good guy.
Okay.
You should look him up. He's doing a lot of stuff in Lisbon, actually. Yeah,
Okay.
and
Yeah, you share with me after
yeah, yeah,
his
yeah, yeah.
link.
I do that. In any case, we played once in Liquid or something, and the Luxembourg's big producer Gast Waltzing. He saw one of those gigs, and at the time he started a label, and he asked me, "Don't you want to make a record that's kind of rocking, blah blah blah, for my label?" And then I was like, yeah, I kind of took it as an opportunity. I was like, and he demanded own songs, so I started writing just on the piano, bit on the guitar. Some of the first songs I would just sit on the balcony, smoke a joint, and then listen to melodies, and then try to find them on the piano. That's how I wrote. I think the first song I wrote is called Garage Blues. Was a tribute to the garage we were practicing in. I had a rehearsal room in a garage, and that's, by the way, also on the new live album in a nice live version. So yeah, I wrote a whole record like that, and then we went to the studio and recorded it, and that was kind of the beginning of the band. Didn't go so well with the label, so I left that quite quickly after one record. But the project was started. the thing to do that, and to just kind of mix the kind of music whatever I like. That kind of, yeah, that just started, and then it went from there. And now we
And how long?
now we
How
have
long?
20 years later. Yeah.
Sorry, how long do you have your project now already?
Yeah, 20 years. So
Really?
yeah.
Wow!
We're celebrating 20 years this year, actually.
Great.
Yeah, that's why we released the live album also. And yeah, so still not rich and famous, but we're still working on it, you know.
And as I understood, you made vinyls of this live album, and it's limited. So people who
Yes.
really want to have the album really have to. For example, people who are not in Luxembourg who are abroad, how can they order your vinyl?
Well, they can just order it over our label, the Badass Yogi Productions, which you find links to our to ordering that on our webpage. It's just BenoitMartiniBand.com, and you can order it over the label. Uh, you know, some people just make me a message personally, so I can send a record as well. And yeah, we limited it to 200 vinyls, the new one, live in Germany, and we signed all of them, and we numbered them also. It looks something like this. I have one here actually.
Great. It's
Yeah,
very beautiful. I saw it
and,
already in your
and
videos, but
yeah,
yeah, and
we made
it's
it a bit.
red. It's so beautiful
We made
for
it look a little.
collectors.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, I'm really happy with the design. We made it look a bit trashy, a bit like a bootleg style, because but it doesn't sound as it's a good sounding bootleg.
Yeah,
So
of
yeah.
course. I know your sound is good. I already heard. I didn't see your band live still yet,
Oh
but
really?
I heard it so many times through videos and so, and it's like it's why I said also that you have a very special sound, that it doesn't,
Thank you.
you cannot compare with other bands. It's your sound, you are very creative, and
Thank you. That's
it's
yeah. That's the if you can find your own voice in
yeah.
music, then yeah, then of course I'm very happy to hear that. For me, you know, we made now. I think this is our seventh album now, and so we did a lot of projects where we had also many guests, and we did a lot of different styles within our own sound. But we sometimes went a bit more free jazz, or we went a bit more rock with a guest singer, or things like that. So, but I'm very happy when people find that there is an identity to the whole thing, because because lots of groups they have one style and they follow that one style,
Mhm.
and yeah, and for me I'm just like, well, I do what I want, and sometimes I have a phase where I'm just listening to Nirvana for 2 months, and then I want to also compose music like that, kind of. But of course, it's nothing. It's not really something new, because in the 70s you had a lot of groups that were mixing, you know, Indian music with rock and with jazz and this and that. So and artists like Frank Zappa, you know, they also, every record is a bit different. And
Yeah.
so in Germany they also had a great scene for like jazz, or they called it krautrock back in the day. It's a lot of
Hmm.
psychedelia. So I don't think it's really necessarily something new, but I guess it's yeah, a bit our own sound, because yeah,
Yeah.
I'm yeah, I guess because I'm writing the music and the guys make it sound a
Completely.
certain way. Yeah,
Completely. And also the musicians with who you work in the band,
yeah,
they also like to experiment a little bit of every style. So now, yes,
absolutely. Yeah, they help me to make it sound good.
let's talk about the people who are playing with you for this band. Do you
Yes,
want to introduce them to the
sure.
public?
Yeah, so the first guy is Sandor Kem. He's from Hungary, and I met him in Rotterdam. He's the bass player, and he's the only guy in the band that was there from the beginning. You know, even in the evil dungeon studios of Waltzing Productions, he was already present. And so, and then the lineup changed sometimes a bit, because yeah, it was just I was a lot in Holland, so it was more practical to play with people from there. And so the rest of the band is actually still from Holland. And so Frank Jonas, he's the guitarist. He's there from the second album on. He's a great guitarist, really my favorite guitarist actually. He plays everything great, and he's really where I write a power chord for to write the songs. He makes it really nice chords, you know.
Wow.
And he makes it sound much better. And then on alto sax is Jasper van Damme. He's the youngest guy in the band. Somehow he never seems to get older. I think he's still not 40, still not. But anyway, he's a great player, plays a lot in Holland. And I met him him and Frank also, and Chando. And we all met at the conservatory in Rotterdam, actually, in the early 2000s. And then the last one that joined was Joao Driessen. And he is a tenor player, a total monster, really incredible player. And he joined in 2010 with when we recorded the third album, Isolation Nation. So he's also in the band since 15 years. So since 15 years, the lineup didn't change. And in between, we just did albums with many, many guests, like Michel Pilz, the bass clarinet player. We did a lot with him. We had Steve Kasper. I don't know if you remember Steve Kasper from the Luxembourgish nightlife, also. Not sure, a great artist. Both are not with us anymore, unfortunately. We did we worked together with Mark Lotterman, writing some lyrics and singing on some stuff. So we had a lot of people joining. Too many to now mention. That joined the band over the years, but now we're trying to get back to the roots, you know, because mostly when people come to see us, they see just 5 of us, sometimes even 4, and if they buy a record where there's 11 people playing on it, it's not the same thing live. So now we wanted to make a record that really represents how you see the band when we're actually when we're playing live. When you come see us, what do you actually see? And so that's why we did the Live in Germany album, because last years we played quite some shows in Germany. So yeah.
Great, and not only in Germany. So you played also. I think you were also in the East countries, no?
We were also in Hungary, and in, 3 years ago we went to tour in Shando's country, in Hungary a little bit. And last year too, actually. So in the last 2 years, we went 2 times to Hungary.
Okay.
And also to Slovenia. I was just next to it.
So great. So then the great musicians you are working with, and I'm sure everybody is enjoying. And I know that working with you is very cool, and going with you on the gigs is very pleasant. You are a very relaxed and zen person, and we are always laughing with you. So I know we had a lot of fun, and we had really good times when you played when you replaced sometimes Jeff with Lata.
Yeah, with Lata.
Yeah, it was
where we
really,
were opening
cool.
for Sting.
Yes, of course. We did Sting's first part. People don't believe that, but it's true.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, we were, we were in the backstage watching football with him, right?
Yes,
I mean,
it
he
was
was
France,
watching football.
Argentina.
Yeah, even that.
Yeah, and it was. I think it was the best stage sound I had in my whole life. I never had so good stage sound as that day.
Yeah, that was a big stage. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I was doing backing vocals with Zita. You were on the drums, and Daniela was there, Paul, and Alex was on the Hammond.
Hammond. Yeah.
It was such a great concert, really, and yes, and also in Metz. You were also in Metz with us.
In Metz, the Fête
de la Mirabelle. Yeah,
that was also a nice one. And at Kufa, were you also at the Kufa? That was the first time I played with Lata.
No, I think at this concert I didn't work with him yet.
Okay.
I started to work with him after this.
Yeah.
But yes, but I remember the Fête de la Mirabelle. But I know it's very cool to play with you on stage and to work with you. You are a very intelligent
Thank
and
you.
good musician, and you are all also playing in other projects who are not your projects. But I know you are playing with Lab, which is a hip hop Luxembourgish hip hop band. It's the most famous hip hop band in Luxembourg.
Yeah,
And what's very special with this hip hop band is that you don't only use a DJ, but you have a real band playing
indeed.
with the rappers, with David Galassi and Corby, and you have René Macri, you have
Yes,
Remo Cavallini,
indeed.
for example. You have
Michel Lopez.
Michel Lopez.
Yeah,
Yes,
got some
he's
Portuguese represent, you know.
he's amazing. I we talked
Yeah.
about him when I interviewed Lucas Ferraz because he's
Yeah.
playing
He's
with
playing with
Lucas,
him. Yeah.
and I had the chance also to be with him on stage and to work with him too in Mama and for a musical.
Ah,
And
nice.
he's an amazing musician too. He has a huge music knowledge too, even music
Yeah. He's a
history, and so
great guy. Yeah, he's a concert pianist. And
yeah.
Mama, was that for the Jesus Christ Superstar?
Yes, it was.
By the
I was
way,
a soul girl.
Jesus Christ, that's my rock star cousin.
Really,
The
Paul?
cousin, yeah, that's the cousin who influenced me also when I was young. And
Yeah.
we have a project. We already did a record together, like 10 years ago or more, with the guys of my band, with Frank and Sander, just guitar and bass.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need horns there because he's singing. And now we are again. He's doing a project with two guys, Paul Reuter and Gilles Lanners. They are guys. They
Mm-hmm.
were present in some of the '90s bands, and
Yeah.
we do some '80s hard rock. And I'm the drummer. Yeah.
Yeah.
So again,
So Paul Hoffman.
something. Yeah, Paul Hoffman. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, he
Ah,
was a
cool.
great
So
Jesus.
you were also Christ thing.
Yes, I was a soul girl. I was soul girl one.
All right. Great.
Yeah, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot because you know the only woman who has like a singing paper is Mary Magdalena,
Yeah.
and the soul girls just do like the backing vocals and it made me learn a lot because I was never in a music school, so I never learned to read partitions and to read
Yeah.
notes. I did everything with the ear, you know, and it was so great to work with them. And what
Nice,
is
nice.
cool in the musical is that you don't have only to sing, you have to dance, you have to play a role, it's like
That's true.
being an actor but also a dancer and also singing, and I loved it. It was one of the greatest experiences in my music life. And
Yeah. I
working with
can
all
imagine.
these great musicians, we had Marco Battistella, who was the music director,
Right.
the father. Uh, we had Serge Chancourt, who was
Yes. Yeah.
Judas,
Judas. Yeah.
and who also coordinated a little bit thing. We had great dancers. Actually, Edson was one of the dancers at the
Ah,
time.
really?
Yes,
Funny.
that's where I met him.
Cool.
And we had Michel Lopez, we had Mil Garofalo on
Great.
the
Yeah.
guitar. Only great musicians, only
Yeah.
very, very professional, great musicians. And it was a very good experience. I know we did sold out for 4 nights. And
Yeah. I remember it was a big success at the
yeah,
time.
and Paul was he's a good actor, he's a good singer. He had
Yeah.
the hardest paper of all, and
Yeah, of course. Yeah. You had to be Jesus Christ.
yeah. So yeah,
Not bad, not bad.
it was a nice experience. But
Yeah.
apart from the lab, are you also playing in other projects?
Yeah, mostly it's more projects that are maybe some more temporary. So I'm not really, I guess, apart from the lab, I'm not really in any steady band. But I'm playing this year. I was playing also on a soundtrack of a movie by Franz Hausemer. I don't know if you know Franz Hausemer.
I heard about him. I don't
He's
know him
a
personally.
Yeah, he's a musician and he makes movies also. He's a not a film director but a film producer, if you want, in documentaries. And he did
Okay.
his second movie now. He made it about a guy called Gaston Rollinger. He was a German teacher in Escher Lycée, but also a poet and a filmmaker as well. He worked a lot for RTL back in the 80s. And he passed away this year, but so he made a movie about a bit about his life connected to the Minette, because the guy lived all his life. He lived in the same area around Ash, or in Ash, and it's a very nice movie. And I had the pleasure to be part of the soundtrack together with Luciano Pagliarini, also the saxophone player you might know. He's very much into free jazz. Yeah, he's great. He's maybe the father of free jazz in Luxembourg, in a way. And
Oh, great.
he was out for a while. He wasn't too well for a while, but now he's back since the last years. And so he's playing on that. My wife Renata is playing some viola on it, and Mike Butcher mixed it. So that, for example, was a project that took a few recording sessions, and then it was in the cinema going for four weeks. So that's of course something nice, but it's something that's temporary. So I do all kinds of stuff. I was doing this year. I will do it again. Something called the Ecclesian. It's about Santa Claus, and I'm playing the Hoseka. It's again also with Franz Hausemer, and it's for kids. You know, it's sort of a theater musical kind of thing for kids with just 3 actors / musicians, where I also have to act a little bit and sing, like what you just said about the musicals, a bit that. So you really have to get out of your comfort zone of just being a drummer and do other things too. And we did it last year, and it was a big success for the kids. You know, they cheered. So now we do it again. So it's a lot of stuff like that. I started a new trio now with Laurent Pfeiffer and Murat Öztürk, and that's very nice because it's a jazz project. It's a piano trio. I always liked to have piano trio, but I didn't really work with that the last 15 years.
They are great musicians.
And now, yeah, fantastic. And Laurent started this, and he just asked me out of the blue. So I was like, yeah, sure, sounds great. If you want to play with me, just
I already interviewed Laurent when I was on Radio Arab, and he's an amazing musician, an amazing person too.
Such a sweet guy.
He worked a lot with Sacha Lai too.
He worked with Sacha Lai. Also, somebody like my first, let's say, gig I had with where a lot of concerts came out and some tours abroad, even going to India and all kinds of places, was with Sacha Lai, actually, when she started a jazz group in 2006-7, and I was 26, 27, and that was like my first job after the conservatory, kind of. But Laurent, so he played a lot with Sacha Lai, played with Jeff Hare a lot. So and we had a residence at in Dudelange op der Schmelz, and we just recorded it, and we also had the gig at the Like a Jazz Machine. It was just 2 weeks ago now, and we recorded the residence, and everybody liked it, and was like, okay, let's make an album. So bang, we made an album. Never made an album that fast, but so that's the trio now. Where I hope that maybe next year we're gonna play a little bit more. So it's always people ask me to do stuff, but I would say the only steady bands I'm in is the Lab. Because every year they still book the Lab every year, like a lot of times in Luxembourg. So they're really still very popular.
They are legendary.
Yeah, apparently, yeah. And this year will be 10 years in the Lab, actually, 10 years. And then I need the time for my own band. If you're a steady member, in too many bands, then you also, it's difficult to have the energy and time for your own project.
And you are also you have also a normal job. You are a music teacher too. So
exactly, I'm teaching at the Eschenach Music School 3 days a week. That's kind of my steady job, my steady income, and so that takes a lot of time as well. So you have to find the time a bit between all those things.
So you can say a good hello to Maxim Bender for me.
Oh yeah, well he's now the director of Trifolion, so I see him around. It's at the same place. The music school is indeed at the place as the Trifolion. But so I will extend your greetings, of course. But back in the days, I had more steady groups I was in, and then I would always, when I would try to get gigs, I would always be like, like I would open my code and say, yeah, what style, what band do you want? I have rock, I have metal, I have jazz,
hip hop,
and it would also become confusing, for how to say, it was a bit, I could offer many things, but I didn't really focus on one thing. And so 5 years ago, I decided to focus much more on my own band, so that I'm also able to present one project and say, so this is really my thing. And so, otherwise it's just too many different things. But I'm very happy. I was lucky that also through the connections in Rotterdam, that I could play with many different groups. Like I played with some guys from Mozambique, African funk, jazz. I played with some Latin American guys. I was playing metal, I was playing African stuff also with a Dutch Afro band. So I was lucky in the last 20 years to be able to play with so many different musicians from different cultures, getting to know their culture, getting to know their music, and having to adapt also as a drummer to all those different styles. And so I don't think I can really play any of those styles like really, because if you want to play Cuban music, you really have to focus on the thing. I can play on drums my 10 usual Cuban grooves, but that's not enough to really dive deep into a style of music. So I always try to just play it the best I can and kind of play it the way I would play it, with my own kind of spice in it, I guess. But it worked out for most. Sometimes I wish I would be more. I could even in jazz music. I don't really feel like the real jazz drummer. Like I can really always feel like other people can do it better. It's maybe not authentic enough. So. But then in the end, you just have to find your own voice, and if that's believable enough, people they buy whatever you play. I had that impression with Michel Pilz, the bass clarinetist. For me, he could not play anything wrong. Everything he played, whenever he was like, that's fucking great. That's really great. It's great every time, and because that's just his voice. Like no one would tell you, Jessica, your voice today is not good. Because it's your voice. You talk like you talk. Maybe one day you're sick, you have a cold, so your voice is different, but it's still you.
Yeah.
So no one can.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm working with a guy like that. He plays his main instrument is saxophone. He plays at the Orchestra Jazz de Matosinhos. It's a very famous jazz orchestra here in Portugal.
Oh, nice.
But for his own project, he plays the piano when he composes and he writes. And so he writes the lyrics. He plays also guitar. He plays drums. He plays bass. And everything he plays well. There's no one mistake, It's just...
Yeah, you have some guys that are like that. Here in Luxembourg, people like Jerome Klein or Paul Bellardi, Pete Tam.
Paul Bellardi, yeah.
They play everything really, and on a really high level. I play some bass. I can play some boogie woogie on the piano. I play some power chords on guitar. It's enough to compose, and accompany the students and stuff. But these guys, they can, I cannot play it on a professional level, and these guys, they really do that with so many different instruments. I mean, for me, it's like I can hardly play the drums, that already takes all my focus.
But it's not the image that people have from you. People, when we talk about Benoit Martini, everybody says, "Oh my God, this guy is so amazing! Oh my God,
Yeah,
everybody wants to have you in the band as a drummer." You cannot. I think you don't really imagine the people, the image that the musicians have from you, and you cannot imagine all the people, all the musicians who wants to work with you or dream to work with you. And sometimes we think, oh no, but he will never accept it. He's so great,
like, yeah, it's like, oh, he's too busy, let's not even call him. Yeah, and then just well, no one calls me. I have to say that this is very nice to hear. Of course, I'm always happy I get people fooled.
No, but
in
really,
Luxembourg,
everybody respects
you. We are lucky with drummers, and we have a lot of good drummers. And from my generation, it's just already so many Paul Wilch and Jeff Hare. Who else? So many Joel Hayer, all those guys who were kind of the same generation. So Luxembourg is lucky with drummers, I have to say. Yeah, a lot of good drummers. Then the next generation,
Max Duscher.
Yeah, exact. Max Duscher, Niels Engel, Jerome Klein, all those guys.
Yeah, Niels.
And now you have again new guys, Mathieu Clement, the grandson of the photographer, Raymond Clement. Fantastic. The guy is 22 or 23 now, but I didn't play like that when I was 23, So it's great development that, every next generation becomes a little better than the one before.
And we also had Gilles Bernard for a long time at the Prune Club also.
That's true, yeah. He was also playing with the Lab for 1 year. The year before I came, he was in the Lab, yeah.
Yeah, Gilles it was also very nice to work with him. And Niels, he's so cool.
Fantastic.
Only as a person. Also as a person, he's really cool. You have a great time with him too. Yeah, but believe me, people really respect you a lot. All the musicians I know respect you a lot, and also everything that you achieved. And for Luxembourgish bands to have the chance to play abroad, it's not easy. And you get that. You know how to do it, and like I said, you do your own style, and only just for that people respect you really a lot. It's not easy
No, it isn't. It's also not easy. I mean, abroad, I used to play a bit more abroad when I was more involved with bands in Holland. With my band, of course, we always try to get around, because Luxembourg is limited also. There's no point in playing with this kind of music that already is kind of a niche, not that many people. It's not commercial music, so you don't reach that many people with it. And if you play 10 times in Luxembourg, no one will show up anymore in the end. So I tried to go abroad, but often we play very small things. But it's just, to keep the adventure going and find some new people that like our music. But we would all like to play a bit more abroad and in better conditions, because mostly when we go abroad, it's not paid that great. I mean, now I'm going to Brussels this weekend, but with a project with Jean Bermes. It's called Knurt, and it's for babies. It's like an installation, and in that installation there's me, a saxophone player, a dancer, and maybe one more, a singer or something, and then we just improvise. It's like free jazz for babies, and then there's babies between 5 months and 5 years, kind of. It's for them and their parents, and so that's now a project. We played at a festival, a children's festival in Bologna last year. Big success. Now they want us everywhere. They want us in Brussels, in Geneva, in wherever. So okay, then we go, and that's well paid, So okay, I can play improvised music for babies if you pay me for that, sure. And that's funny because the point is to kind of to show kind of art already for babies, and not not have these too pedagogical
Mm-hmm.
projects, like quack quack, this is a frog, and woo woo, this is the
Like
cow.
Teletubbies.
Try to be a bit more, just do our thing, and then
Yeah,
see the, yeah,
the reaction.
yeah, that's big fun. Sometimes kids, they just listen, sometimes they interact a bit more. So yeah, that's again a project. Yeah, I would have never thought I would do that, but it's very it's again something you have to get out of your comfort zone,
Yeah.
and from all those experiences you learn a lot, and you put it back into your own music, and you get much more confident with your own stuff, because then
Mhm.
you're coming home to your own stuff, but you bring all these new confidence or
Experiences. Yeah.
experiences with you. Yeah. So yeah, but yeah, of course, it's for everybody. It doesn't become easier to find gigs abroad. It doesn't become easier to get accepted on big festivals, and to get paid well, and to do big tours. I mean, it's also very expensive.
Yeah.
It's just very, very expensive. And again, in Luxembourg, we have subsidies like Cultura Leaks. They support
Yeah.
tours and things like that, which of course is great. But there's many more musicians nowadays, good musicians, and less and less people that go to live shows, and less
Mhm.
venues that can host you. And then a lot of it goes over social media, so you have to be famous on Instagram before somebody even books you. Because now people look if you have many followers
How
in the
many?
virtual
Yeah.
world.
I find
And
this very strange and weird when I try to have a gig and the first thing people ask you is, how many followers do you have?
yeah,
Like,
exactly. So
really?
I feel like we all kind of dependent on that now. We're kind of slaves of the
Yeah.
Zuckerbergs, with that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, and that's
So,
a pity. But I
but
believe there are still people who book musicians
yes,
for their talent and for the quality of the music.
absolutely. And that's the places you have to find, and you have to
Yeah,
find the place that like your music, the bookers
yeah.
that enjoy your music. You have to, yeah. It's the same with when I release a vinyl. Now I know there's a bunch of vinyl lovers. They also like my music, so then I know I can sell it, and to who can I sell it? And also, as a young musician, when people would ask me 20 years ago, or 15 years ago, so for who do you make your music? I would say, it's for everybody. It's for every. Of course, you want everybody to listen to it, but
Yeah.
in the end, um, yeah, it's you find out who actually likes this, who would buy this, who comes to a concert of this particular music. We're not doing pop music, and pop
Hmm.
music is still the thing that most people listen to music. Most people are not educated in jazz music, so they're not like, oh, we're gonna go. I thought my band was commercial when I, or like easy accessible music when I formed it, but it
Hmm.
still isn't. There's still a lot of saxophone improvisation and crazy guitar solos, and it's kind of progressive, and it's instrumental. We don't have a singer most of the time, and so
Yeah, but sometimes it feels good. It's
yeah.
relaxing, you know. I
Yeah, sure.
listen.
But just to say that you need to find a bit your audience.
Yes.
Who actually would like it,
Yeah.
and then focus rather on that, than keep writing to the bookers that you see in their program. They
Yeah.
only book Dixieland jazz, or they only book singer songwriter, or
Hmm.
you don't have a chance there. So forget about it. Just
Yeah.
focus on the places where you are like where you think you could have a chance.
Where people listen to the kind of music you play. I have to admit, when I'm alone, I listen a lot of instrumental music
Yeah.
more than singing music, also because it's relaxing, and also to read something or to work, or I listen a lot of experimental music, a lot of electronic with jazz and
No,
very weird things, and rock,
yeah.
of
It's,
course. I will always have a rocker soul for sure
yeah.
until I die.
Yeah. There is so many. Like, I listen a lot of vocal music, actually. Funnily,
Mhm.
apart from the jazz, I listen a lot of rock music. Always has somebody singing.
Mhm.
But there's so many. There's good music in any style you listen to.
Yeah,
Even you go country music, or what
yeah.
music you find. maybe 90% you won't like, but you always find some artists that are like, oh wow, this is really great. This really still touches you, no matter what style you listen.
Yeah, that's true. That's completely true.
Yeah.
That's
So
completely true.
I guess if you keep an open mind, it's always good to keep an open mind, you know.
Of course, of course.
That.
And so, guys, don't forget, I will put all the links here in the description of the video to Benoit's profiles, to also to your website. And don't forget, if you want to get a vinyl of the live concert, how many are left?
At the moment, still many. Actually, I have still 150 here.
Okay.
But they have to all be signed by the band. So otherwise I can't sell them, because that's part of the design of the record. But I only
Of
see
course.
the band. I only see the band in 3 weeks. We're gonna go on a small UK tour. We're gonna try, and then they have to sign a few more. But at the moment, no, you can order it at the label. Be quick with it, because the
Okay.
label has some. And yeah, but there's still many left. The worst case scenario, you have to wait a few weeks or a couple of months before you get your vinyl. But
Yeah, but like reserve it if you want to have one, because numbers are limited.
yeah,
When there is
they reserve.
zero, there is zero. So if you want to have a vinyl of Benoit Martini Band live in Germany, just go to the link here in the description of the video to order a vinyl, and you will have a very special event in November, you told me.
Yes, indeed. In November, that's going to be our last birthday, 20-year anniversary party of the band. It's going to be in Goedevellen on 15th of November. We'll do a last party in our favorite club in Luxembourg City, of course. And the last time we've been there, we celebrated 10 years. So now we celebrate 20 years. So that will be the last chance to see us this year. And next year we plan on recording a new album. I don't know if we're going to be playing live that much. So better come to this one. Yeah.
Okay, so don't forget the 15th of November, but also don't forget that I share all the news also of all the musicians who were already interviewed here in the Jessica's Music Talk Pod. I share everything in the Jessica's Music Talk Pod Facebook page, because I use the Facebook page not only to share things about the podcast, but also to share the news about the musicians, the releases, the announcements, the events. So we will take you aware. And don't forget also to follow Benoit Martini Band, follow Benoit Martini's profiles, because it's really good what you do. I will also put here the link to the YouTube, to the website, to everything where you can find Benoit's music.
Yes, I have a YouTube channel, which is Benoit Martini, and there I tried to put as much of my past and present projects on there. So you find videos, you find all the albums, and yeah, I was last time myself a bit surprised that a lot of stuff came together over the years. So check it out. Yeah.
Check it out, please. And don't forget, the best way to help the musicians and to help the podcast is really to follow the podcast, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the musicians channel, put a like, share the videos, share the profiles also with the people you know, and also for the people who want to support the podcast financially, you also can do a donation on PayPal, on Buy Me a Coffee, or on TP. I also put here the links. There is no strict amount. You can do a donation of the amount you want. But the best way to help the musicians and the podcast and the art is really to follow the artists, to listen to the music, to listen to the interviews, and to subscribe to the channels and the artists' channels too. Thank you so much, Benoit. It was so good to talk with you about music, about your project, to remember very good memories, very very
Yeah.
fun moments we had together. To
Thank you,
see you
Jessica.
again, because we didn't see us since a very, very, very
Yeah.
long time.
Years. Years.
Years, yes, years.
Yeah. No,
Before
very
I
nice
came
to
to
see you.
Portugal. So
Thank you very much for the invitation to your podcast.
it was an
It was
honor.
my pleasure. No, my honor.
And so, is there something you want to say that I forgot to ask you that is important for you to share with the people?
Ooh, I wouldn't know at this point. No, I don't think so. We talked about many things. Um, yeah, maybe some more dates in Luxembourg. The Blues and Jazz Rally we're gonna play also, and the summer stage in Clairvaux in July. In July,
Great,
and one date in Germany on 18th of July we play at the Terminus in Saarbrücken. Also nice.
great.
So that's the only place where we actually can present live in Germany. In Germany, you know. No, but for the rest, no. You, I think we covered quite some Martini history, I think. So thank you very much again for inviting and all the nice words you had about me. Is very nice.
Everything was honest, really. Everything I said, I really mean. I really meant it. And there is only one last question that I ask to all my guests
All
that
right.
come here, and it's always very interesting to listen to the different answers. Is if there is some young guy or some guy who comes to you that you meet, and he wants to start to create his music project, or he launch his music career, and he if this person asks you for advice, which advice would you give to him?
Yeah, that's difficult to maybe to give one advice. One is still oneself is still searching for like the great advice to do stuff. But I think just be passionate about what you're doing and focus. I mean, do it for yourself first, you know, and whatever you do, whatever project you do, try to yeah, just focus on it and enjoy it, and don't have too many questions about where it will go, but yeah, go for your own voice and your own ideas, and keep going, keep at it. Also, don't give up. That's also something I think, to just perseverance, or how they call it, to just keep doing what you're doing. You know, so I would say, and keep an open mind to things, and try to learn, and try to meet and play, or yeah, make art with as many people as you can. I think, especially as a young artist, in whatever art form, try to make a lot of connections with other artists, or um, like be open to whatever opportunities you get, and try it out, even if you decide later that you don't want to go in that direction. It's very helpful also if you know what you don't like. So don't be close to anything. I think at a young age, and pursue your own dream, you know, and do it for yourself. Yeah.
It's a great advice.
I
Thank you
don't know.
so much, Benoit. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you,
Don't forget the
Jessica.
links in the description. Don't forget to put a like. The next guests I will receive at the Jessica's Music Talk Pod is a metal band from Luxembourg. It's Scarlet Anger.
Ah, nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
legends.
yeah, they are great.
They
I'm
playing
so
a lot
happy
abroad
to.
as well. Huh? They playing some
Yes, yes, I'm
festivals this
so
year, I
happy to
saw.
receive them. They are great people, very in
Cool.
the metal scene. They are very professional, very great guys,
Indeed.
and they will be my next guests. And I can't
Cool.
wait to have an interview with them too. And thank you so much, and I wish you all the success you deserve. Really,
Thank you very
really.
much.
I know you work hard for your music, so you really deserve a lot of success. Don't forget the 15th of November at the Goede to see the Benoit Martini Band live anniversary concert. And yes, and I wish all of you a great day, night, or morning, depending on the time you are watching this. And yes, and see you for the next interview. Bye.
Bye.